And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you give a virtual production team a bit of a heart attack. Good evening. My name is Harry Santa Olala, and welcome to Brooklyn, New York City. It is an absolute pleasure to be here with you. I am going to be your virtual host tonight. And at this stage, I'm just going to go through a little bit of housekeeping with you. Slightly different to last year. We have a slightly more interactive service for you tonight. Of course, tonight is all about raising money for the Boulder Crest Foundation. We're going to have some fun videos from supporters and, of course, from the team itself. But you can raise money at any time this evening by scanning that QR code. If you scan that QR code, it is going to take you to the fundraising page. And your name is going to be featured along the bottom here with all the other fabulous donors who have donated to this amazing organization. If you're having any technical difficulties whatsoever, then you can just hit the Make a Donation button here, and that is going to take you to a live human being that's going to assist you throughout the whole process and get you back on track. In an ideal world, we don't want you to hit the need some help button down here because that's going to take you away from this screen, which is going to be tonight's virtual event. So try not to hit the donate, make a donation on your laptop. Use your cell phone and scan the QR code. If you're wondering what a QR code is at this stage, then where on earth have you been for the last 2 years? Grab someone who looks suspiciously like a millennial or a Gen Z and ask them all about QR codes, and they're going to get you going on the fundraising, which is going to be live throughout the whole evening. So you can give as many times as you want. And by the way, once you've given, which feels awesome, feel free to just forward that same link to anyone and everyone. Anyone who, they don't even have to be tuned in right now to be making a donation to Boulder Crest Foundation. That's what's so awesome about this platform. And the reality is, it's probably the very smallest of small silver linings to the otherwise dark COVID cloud that created the virtual events. That small silver lining is that anyone can tune in from anywhere. So just before the event starts, why not let your friends know wherever they are? They can tune in on their phone, their tablet, or their laptop. And of course, I want to know, where are you tuning in from? So that there is a chat box. Get fired up in it. Let me know. Where are you tuning in from? Why are you tuning in? Who are you thinking about while you're making donations? What brought you to the Boulder Crest Foundation? And I'm going to try and keep this as interactive as humanly possible. And without wishing to outstay my welcome super early on, I am going to hand over to Will Walker, the BCF board, and I'll be back soon.
Good evening. My name is Will Walker, and I'm here tonight with my good friend, Matt Eisman. I'm a board member for Boulder Crest, and Matt is a longtime friend and college buddy, best known for his role as the host of American Ninja Warrior. Tonight, we want to tell you about Boulder Crest and its mission. We hope that you will be as inspired by the story as we are.
Thanks, Will, and good evening to everyone watching. I'm thrilled to continue my support of Boulder Crest. Now, as you may or may not know, I'm a licensed medical doctor, and I've seen firsthand the outcomes of mental health challenges, which is why what is happening at Boulder Crest with the science of post-traumatic growth is groundbreaking. And I'm hopeful that what we learn with military veterans and first responders can ultimately be shared with the world. Now, as you may know, Boulder Crest is 100% privately funded. So we're asking you to dig deep tonight and do one of three things. First, make a cash donation. Now, Harry's going to have the details, and I assure you, we have made it incredibly easy this evening to donate. Secondly, help us share this message around your networks, because even if you don't have the capacity to donate, maybe someone in your network will be inspired by tonight's program, and they might donate to this worthy cause. And lastly, if you live near our Virginia or Arizona facilities, find a way to donate some of your time. Not only is volunteering good for our organization, it's great for you personally. So thanks again for all your time this evening.
Thanks, Matt, for your kind words. Now I'd like to introduce you to Ken Falk. Ken is the founder of Boulder Crest and serves as chairman of the Boulder Crest Board of Directors. Ken spent 21 years in the U.S. Navy as a bomb disposal specialist and has been helping wounded warriors since 2004. Ken and his wife Julia donated 37 acres of their estate to build Boulder Crest, Virginia, and for the last 12 years, Ken has worked tirelessly and free of charge to help Boulder Crest grow into the incredible organization that it has become.
Well, thank you, Will and Matt, for that amazing introduction and for your involvement in Boulder Crest. It's amazing to have you guys out in LA and telling this story tonight for us. As Will and Matt mentioned, my name's Ken Falk. I'm the founder and chairman of Boulder Crest. I'm a retired Navy veteran. I spent 21 years of my military career as a bomb disposal specialist and what we call EOD, Navy Explosive Ordnance Disposal, or bomb disposal. I retired from the Navy early in the war back in 2002 and moved from San Diego here to Virginia, where I live now. Early in the war, the first severely wounded EOD troop was medevaced back here to the Washington, D.C. hospitals. My wife and I visited with that individual and his family and ultimately inspired us to start our first foundation, which today is known as the EOD Warrior Foundation. And the EOD Warrior Foundation, our primary mission early on and during the war was to take care of the families that had been medevaced to the major military hospitals, specifically the two here in DC at the time, Walter Reed and Bethesda Naval Hospital. And that's where most of our amputees came to. As we got to know these families more and more, we started to bring them out to our house. We live an hour west of Washington, D.C. in a small village called Bluemont, Virginia. We had an old farmhouse, 200-acre estate. And we started to welcome these families into our home to get them away from the hospital setting. They were there for long, long periods of times. Many of the amputees were in the hospital for up to 3 years. And we started to bring them out to our house so that they could get away from that hospital setting. And one thing led to another, and we decided to donate 37 acres of this estate that we owned and build the nation's first privately funded wellness center for combat veterans and their family members. And that's what Boulder Crest started as, Boulder Crest, Virginia. What started off as this idea of respite and a place for people to get away. We thought about letting other nonprofits use our facilities and run their programs here. We did that for about a year and decided that the thing that would really solidify what we as an organization were and that we had control of would be to develop our own programs. And after hearing from many, many people about how bad the mental health system in our country was, not just for veterans, but for everybody that has to go through this system, we met a doctor by the name of Rich Tedeschi who had coined a term called post-traumatic growth, which really resonated with me for lots of reasons that I won't get into tonight. And we thought that taking the studies of post-traumatic growth and teachings of post-traumatic growth, we could create some really amazing programs. And that's what we've done at Boulder Crest. Our flagship program is something called Warrior Path. We've put thousands of people through this program, and the results are somewhere between 5 and 7 times better than traditional mental health care. And we're really excited about how that message gets out and about to the world. And that's what we've been working on lately, is how do we scale this? Because we don't want to keep this to just such a small group. We think that this is something that can help lots and lots of people beyond the military, beyond the first responder communities. So in 2017, our largest donor here in Virginia, the Clark family, provided us with a $10 million gift to open up a second site in southern Arizona. Super exciting. Virginia, Arizona, what started off as a respite center is now a state-of-the-art organization that focuses our programs on healing the invisible injuries of war. Things like PTSD, depression, anxiety. On average, 22 veterans a day take their own lives. And this is why we do what we're doing here at Boulder Crest. Suicide in America is an epidemic. 128 Americans a day take their own lives. We believe the opposite of suicide to be living a great life. And that's what post-traumatic growth suggests. And that's why our programs here at Boulder Crest are based on the science of post-traumatic growth. We want to scale this to a much larger population. So in 2018, Josh Goldberg and I put everything we've learned into a book called Struggle Well, Thriving in the Aftermath of Trauma. And we've taken what we've learned in Struggle Well, created smaller trainings, and we're taking those and exporting them out to active duty military units, police departments, fire departments, a couple of hospital systems during COVID. For the last 12 years, we've done some amazing work here at Boulder Crest, and I'm excited to see what's left to come. We've created this really cool partnership with some real, what I would call the blue ribbon nonprofits that are in the veteran helping space, people like the American Legion, VFW, Wounded Warrior Project, Disabled American Vets. And one of those organizations is the Gary Sinise Foundation. And for those of you that don't know Gary, Gary's most famous for his role as Lieutenant Dan in the famous movie Forrest Gump. But in addition to that, he's done lots of movies, lots of TV. And Gary, at the end of the day, is just an amazing guy. He's become a close friend. Gary and his wife, Moira, were here with Julie and I a month before we opened Boulder Crest. And a year later, and to this day, between the Gary Sinise Foundation and Disabled American Veterans, we've got a program that is delivered here at Boulder Crest in both Virginia and Arizona. And I'm extremely proud tonight to introduce you to Gary Sinise.
Hello, it's a great honor to be with you all tonight. Thank you for your interest in the work Ken and his team do at Boulder Crest. For nearly 8 years, Ken and I have been working together to help the men and women who defend our great nation to heal in the aftermath of their trauma, and specifically those who suffer with post-traumatic stress. This work is delivered through Boulder Crest's Warrior Path program. Earlier this year, my foundation announced a formal partnership with Boulder Crest to help scale the Warrior Path program nationwide. And to date, we have 9 partners delivering this life-changing program. As you know, Boulder Crest is an innovator in mental wellness, and their programs are based on the science of post-traumatic growth. And I can't think of a better partnership to scale this successful work. With the recent 20th anniversary of 9/11 and the catastrophic withdrawal from Afghanistan, emotions are high across our nation's defenders. And they need your help now more than ever. As you may also know, Boulder Crest and most nonprofits are privately funded. We are asking you tonight that you consider an investment that will help us continue to scale our success. Thank you all.
Gary, just want to say thank you for the kind words about Boulder Crest. We're very honored by your friendship and by the work our foundations do together. I know you're a grateful American, and you're also a great American. Thanks for all you do for first responders, military, and veteran communities. You know, I spent 21 years in the U.S. Navy, about 14 of those deployed away from my family, and I know the impact that has. I want you to hear tonight from one of our Warrior Path participants, Chief Warrant Officer Brian Smith, actively serving in the U.S. Army as an intelligence officer, spent many days, many months, many years away from his family, deployed to places like Iraq and Afghanistan. Brian's a recent graduate of our Warrior Path program, and I'd like for you tonight to hear directly from him. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Ken. Yeah, you really can't overstate the impact of a family being a part. And in my case, the number of deployments that I had really took its toll. And you know, when you realize you're coming home, you're just, quite frankly, not the same person you are when you left. And if that happens over and over again, that cumulative effect, that can really be impactful on the family. They don't benefit from the training for resilience and everything else that we do. And I certainly saw that as the years went on. I was coming back as a person that they were not equipped to deal with. And that resulted in a lot of isolation, a lot of domestic upheaval, and quite frankly, it was what led me to the gates of Boulder Crest. And I came here with a big, heavy rucksack of issues like most of the soldiers do. But the Warrior Path, what makes this program so unique and what really lends it to helping guys in our situation is that you've got leadership here that knows exactly where you're coming from. You also have an incredibly serene and peaceful environment that is a complete 180 from the battlefield that allows you to really just take a beat, take an azimuth check, as they say, and help you figure out exactly where you are, ground you. And it's only from that place of peace and stability that you can start to apply the next benefit of Warrior Path, and that is the wellness practices that they have. Being able to recognize gratitude and appreciate the skills that you were taught in the military. While they can be very successful on the battlefield, they're not the right things to apply when you're in a domestic situation or dealing with your family or even out in the general public. But you can take the same training and reframe it and put it into a more productive endeavor when you're talking about reconnecting with your family, reconnecting with society. I definitely think that that's what Boulder Crest did best for me, was to start with lowering the noise floor and giving me that peaceful environment that I could actually take a minute and sit and think. I'm in a community with other folks who know exactly what I'm talking about. And it was also a nice antithesis to the talk therapy and heavily medicated approach that a lot of the soldiers I've seen, have not responded to. So having all of that in one package, and then the community that you develop here and then continue to have with the app and with all the different ways that we keep communicating, that degree of support, it's you can't put a price on it. But unfortunately, this entire endeavor doesn't come for free. So if you are looking at putting your charity dollars anywhere, this is what is helping soldiers. This is what is helping me. And this is ultimately the best solution that I've ever encountered.
All right. Welcome back. And thank you to everyone who's getting so fired up in the chat. I love to see it. And thank you to Brian, of course, for everything that you do, and Ken, Gary. I mean, I love seeing all of this happen. It's just amazing. And it really is a great reminder of why we're all tuned in from all over the place to support Boulder Crest. And I'm looking at that's why I'm sort of playing around with the numbers here. I'm looking at where you're tuning in from, and I can see you're really getting fired up. We got people from Phoenix, Arizona, of course, from Texas, Virginia represented. We've got Leslie tuned in from New York City. What a bunch of you from New York City, which is right there behind me. So hello to Leslie and all the crew from New York. I can't wait to get to the full fundraising phase of the evening. But again, you can donate at any time. And actually, let's get a totalizer live right now and see who's been making donations. So that should pop up here. Perfect. On time, as always. Look at this. We've got donations from Kevin, Jen, from Darren. We've got from Doc May, perhaps. Sorry if I've mispronounced that. Parker Teal is making donations. Someone called Anonymous is making donations. Will Russell coming in strong there. Absolutely love to see it. I do want to give a special shout out as well to Kevin and Lorraine, who have been absolutely amazing. They've made a donation, $3,500. So that's the Kevin and Lorraine Mellick Charitable Trust, and they're coming to us from Pennsylvania. And apparently, I'm being told here, they've been supporters since 2016. So thank you to Kevin and Lorraine. And a big shout out to Tom and Linda Carroll, who've made a donation. Big shout out. They've been supporting for a long time too. So this is not the main appeal, just a gentle reminder to scan that QR code right there, make a donation, and bask in the glow of altruism, because that is what tonight is all about. It's about supporting those veterans, and to give you a really strong reminder of how it all works, I'm going to hand you back to Ken Falk.
Brian, thanks again for an amazing story. I've heard that story a couple times in the last several months, and I'm so excited for you and your family to watch you on this warrior path journey, and I look forward to watching you to continue to struggle well. In 1962, I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My mom and I moved to Washington, D.C. to be with my dad after he graduated the police academy after a short career in the U.S. Army in 1963. I spent most of my summers in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania because in 1970, my mom died of a horrible bout of cancer when I was just a young child, and I spent those summers with my grandparents. Those summers inspired me to become a huge fan of Pittsburgh sports, the Pirates, the Steelers, the Penguins, but mostly in the 1970s, the Steelers, because they were such a great team. 4 Super Bowls in the 1970s to be exact. My favorite players for the Steelers, Mr. Rocky Bleier. Rocky sits on the honorary board here at Boulder Crest Foundation, and Rocky's story alone is a story of post-traumatic growth. After playing for the Steelers for 1 year, Rocky volunteered to go to Vietnam and fight for the U.S. Army. A year into his tour, he was shot in the leg and got fragmentations of a grenade in his foot. Rocky's story alone is a story of post-traumatic growth. So please join me as I welcome Mr. Rocky Bleier.
Hi, this is Rocky Bleier. And you know, football in the NFL is a dream, but even our locker rooms don't compare to the team rooms I served in for the U.S. Army. I feel privileged to be connected to Boulder Crest and truly believe in the post-traumatic growth work that they do. You know, after a severe injury in Vietnam, I was worried that I'd never walk again, and I went on to win 4 Super Bowls with the Pittsburgh Steelers. This in itself is a story about post-traumatic growth. Today, about 20 of my brothers and sisters, all veterans, take their lives every day, and Boulder Crest is literally saving lives and working hard to ensure this number gets reduced, and hopefully one day completely eliminated. Thank you all for tuning in tonight, and I hope you will all find a way to give to this very important cause. Thank you, and go Army.
Rocky, thanks again for sharing your story tonight. You truly are the epitome of post-traumatic growth, and I'm honored by our friendship and our continued work here at Boulder Crest on the board. You know, as the son of a Washington, D.C. policeman, I know the trauma that comes home from that particular lifestyle. There's a saying in the world of policing that policemen who aren't well don't police well. And that's why our struggle well work is being accepted into these police departments like it is. We spent about 2 years in Miami, Florida. We're now transitioning to Tucson, Arizona. And with the help of AT&T FirstNet, we're trying to scale this into 7 other states. AT&T is as excited about this as we are here at Boulder Crest. And they provided a whole series of videos on the work that we're doing in Miami. So tonight I'd like you to watch one of the videos and how the struggle well training is affecting the Miami police departments.
This pilot of what I thought was going to be a year, this is going on for 2 or 3 years. Why? There's 6,000 officers in Dade County. We're going to put everybody through it. This is not hand-picking people that I know that may have a problem. This is making sure that we send everybody. What I am hearing, a lot of the chiefs calling me or emailing me, hey, I had my officer just come in and say, there was great training, please send everybody.
As a woman going into the program, I was like, there's a lot of men in here. Not too many women. I started listening to some of their stories, but when I actually saw one of them cry, I was like, oh my God, it's okay to speak because no one's gonna judge you. Look at the men crying. That gave me a sense of relief. It was a very judgment-free zone. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. It doesn't mean I'm gonna sit here and spew my feelings and emotions out, and little did I know, hey, here I am bleeding out every little detail about me.
I learned a lot about myself in the class. It's given me different avenues and methods of dealing with my stress. I used to drink a lot. I would drown my sorrows every day when I would get home, and I no longer do that. I don't look to alcohol to take care of my issues. Years ago, if I would have said to my guys that I meditate twice a day, they would have laughed at me, you know, but I do.
I need to sit back and just take a breath sometimes. Breathe in your nose, hold it. Things are gonna get done, regardless if I do it or someone else does it. It's going to get done. And I just need to say to myself, hey, even though I know you want to fix the world, take a breath and sit back. And guess what? It's going to get done. Just don't think that it has to get done right now, at this time. take a breath.
You guys bring us up to Broward. The Struggle Well program is bringing the officer into a setting to understand life struggles that we all go through. And when you're able, through the training, to understand the pain that you're going through, be able to release it, be able to have that peer group that I can go and talk to because they went through the same thing I have, then it makes me a stronger person. When you have an officer that's in a good position in his life, in his personal life, that's the type of officer that's going out into the community to assist others that are struggling. Is it going to help a community? Absolutely. And I think that will change the police work completely.
Well, AT&T FirstNet, thank you again for a remarkable video series and capturing this work we've been doing in Miami, Florida for the last couple of years. As I mentioned earlier, thanks to the AT&T FirstNet team and the Gary Sinise Foundation, we're going to take this training that we've been delivering in Miami, Florida out to 7 additional states. The first one of those states is Arizona, and specifically the Tucson Police Department. We've worked closely with the head of training and the chief of police in Tucson, who's very excited about bringing this to their state and their city and delivering that program there. In some of the early trainings, we captured a few videos, and tonight I just want to ask you to join me in watching this first video from the Tucson Police Department Struggle Well trainings. Thank you.
There's no formal training in terms of the culture, like, hey, we're going to train you guys how to be closed off and unemotional. That's not part of the training, but it is something that happens. You just can't have the capacity to have an emotional response to every call that you go to, every traffic stop that you make, every person that you talk to, every tragedy that you see. And before you know it, after 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years, you've got this immensely heavy backpack on that you're carrying around with you because you got so good at compartmentalizing and shoving these different experiences and memories into their own little corners, but you never really dealt with that stuff. Struggle Well. It absolutely has the potential to be a life-changing experience. I know that I was not taught this, but I always assumed it, that if I experienced or saw something that was terrible or that hurt me or that hurt somebody else, like something was being taken away from me. When I went through Warrior Path and Struggle Well, what I realized is that there actually is a path there to grow from that trauma, and that you actually can live a happier, more meaningful life as a result. With Struggle Well, you learn how to not just survive beyond it, but you learn how to thrive beyond it. Whatever horrific thing that you can think humans are possible of, it's first responders here that are going to those situations, that are trying to rescue people, trying to save people. There's always a sense of being in this deployed environment, and there is no returning home from your deployment of that. It's every day. If there was ever an easier thing to put your money to and know that it's actually going to make a difference, it would be to this program, the Struggle Well program. I think the biggest thing for first responders to know is that they're not alone. What we're doing matters. What we've done to this point matters. And there's a whole bunch of people that actually care about us. And it starts with recognizing it within our own organization.
Absolutely incredible. I'm really just full of gratitude to be part of this campaign, to be part of the fundraising narrative tonight for Boulder Crest Foundation. Military fundraising is very, very tough, especially right now. My father was 41 years in the British Army and is linked with several charities in the UK. And after that, absolutely cataclysmic exit, as mentioned earlier, from Afghanistan, it's actually harder than ever to support our veterans. And Boulder Crest Foundation is right on the front line. And that number I want you to really think about as you're making these donations is just over 20 veterans a day killing themselves. That is just devastating to hear, absolutely devastating. So just amazing effort to put all of this together, to give us an understanding why we're here tonight. And all of you have been so incredible tuning in. You're here fired up in the chat feature. I want to give a shout out to the whole team there. Well, we've got people tuning in from literally, I've counted 8 states so far. I want to give a big shout out to Tracy and John and Joe Wood. Of course, Sarah and the full team. I'm going to talk everyone through where we're at in the fundraising total, of course, because that is key. In fact, Caitlin, let's get that live now, right here over my shoulder. Let's see where we're at in total. We're at $113,218. Yes! Look at that, America. You are crushing it. Keep it going. Keep it coming in. John Monahan, John and Pamela Phillips, huge shout out to you. Humana Military, a big shout out. Jason and Jen, I'm just so grateful to be part of this, and seeing all these donations flood in is just absolutely incredible. Disabled American veterans have made a big contribution. Northrop Grumman as well. Mr. Parker Teal, who's featured heavily tonight. We've got donations coming in from all sorts of organizations as well. Medtronic gift matching is happening as we speak, and Medtronic provided a matching gift to employees' donations, which I think is such an awesome way to help empower people to give more. And sometimes you see these huge donations coming in, and you might feel like your donation is just a drop in the ocean. It's not. It's absolutely not. Every single dollar counts. And when Medtronic provide a dollar for dollar match, not only does your dollar count, but all of a sudden it's 100% increase the moment it goes in. So thank you to everyone who has donated from Medtronic. Stanley Martin Holmes has made a $5,000 donation. Shout out to Bear Chase Brewing in Virginia, of course, a huge military area in this incredible country. So thank you so much to everyone who's donating. The number is it's continuing to rise. We're at $160,000, 163. This is so cool. Keep these donations flooding in. You know, we've hit our goal, but the reality is this is America. You're not here to hit goals. You're here to smash goals. Let's just smash through that ceiling and raise as much as we possibly can. I absolutely love to see it. Okay. And by the way, if I've mispronounced anyone's name, I'm really sorry. I have a bunch of screens going on live here, and I happen to be dyslexic. So this is like reading names is my worst nightmare, but I'm giving it my absolute best. And I love how you out there are reacting in Phoenix, in Texas, in Virginia, in New Jersey, and of course, in my favorite city on planet Earth, New York. You are responding and you are supporting all of these incredible veterans. We're at 163,000. I absolutely love to see it. Keep the donations flooding in, and I will do everything I can to give you shout outs. And before we go to another video, the Roy Family Fund has made a donations. Ike Lands has made a donation. Samantha Fletcher is coming in strong with another donation. We're up to over $164,000, and I love to see it. And by the way, it's a measurable thing. We know that one of the best feelings we can have in the world is doing good for other people, doing good for, for someone that is not just ourselves. It really is. That glow of altruism, it's measured, it's scientific. We know it helps us by helping other people. So why not bask in that? And why don't you just top up the levels and give another donation right now? You can give as many times as you want and fire off that link. You might have worked out that at this stage I'm padding for time, because the longer I am on screen live with you, Nancy Boucher and Hillsborough Charter, the more money comes in, and I love to see it. We're at $167,223. Keep it going. I absolutely love it. I will be back for one final push very, very shortly. But for now, I'm just going to give a final intro to Ken Falk, and I'll be back shortly.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. It's been an amazing evening. I'm glad you're here. I hope you've learned a lot about Boulder Crest. You know, I always say that it's important for leaders to try to consolidate things and make things as simple as possible to understand. And what we're doing here at Boulder Crest is very, very complex. But we're trying to make these stories a little bit more simple. And I've been trying to do this for a long time. But a couple of years ago, I met a group up in New York called Atlantic Pictures, and they specialize in doing some really amazing films and documentaries and commercials. And I went to them with this problem and this idea of being able to tell our story very short. So tonight, for the very first time, we're going to premiere a video that I think tells the Boulder Crest story. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks again for tuning in, and struggle well.
Because for today, we begin writing a new story. Not a story of deep trauma, a story of strength, a story of being you again. Make that choice.
Let me help you with that, man.
Transform the struggles of your past into the strengths of your future. Boulder Crest Foundation. Write your new story. Visit www.bouldercrest.org.
I'm just joking. Come on, how many of you just screamed at the screen? Harry, you're on mute. Come on. I'm a professional. Who would have thought at this stage of, what, 2 years of virtual events, I'm going to make a rookie error like that, especially on the back of a video unbelievably powerful like that. What an amazing video. And actually, Caitlin, who I'm giving a shout out to now on the production side, who I can hear in the back end, said she's now watched this 3 times and cries every single time. It is just so powerful to see how impactful these dollars have been. And it's just incredibly moving. I know that I'm just standing here in my kitchen in Brooklyn, New York, but I feel like we're all together. We're all here tuning in from all over the country to support this amazing organization, Boulder Crest Foundation. It's been such a pleasure to be involved, and I really mean that. Before I go anywhere, I also want to give a personal shout out to Ken Falk and his team. I want to give a shout out to Drew, to Kyra, to Kate, and of course to Sarah. It may seem a lot easier to do a virtual event, but trust me, it is so hard to put these things on and to make them look so effortlessly impressive as this team has managed to do for you tonight. And I think that's testament to just how important it is that they get the message out there of Boulder Crest Foundation. And I suppose from me here in Brooklyn, it gave me the opportunity to wear 4 different jackets tonight, which I don't often get to do in person. We're at $168,000, 673, which is absolutely spectacular. And right on cue, Caitlin's there with the totalizer. We have another anonymous donation. Tito Bianchi has joined in with the donations as well. Thank you to everyone. And of course, shout outs are happening in the chat feature, of course, to the marketing team who got you all here as well. It's been fantastic to be involved. I do want to give just a couple more shout outs as well. Apparently the Roy family is based in Westport, Connecticut. So thank you for tuning in and being involved. Samantha Fletcher, who's tuned in from Virginia. Nancy, who I mentioned earlier, from Virginia as well. Virginia obviously doing a huge amount of the legwork tonight. A big shout out to the Hillsborough Charter Academy, because that's the 3rd grade class at local Hillsborough Charter Academy, which raised $2,500 for BCF, which is just incredible. It's absolutely amazing. And then finally, the McMahon family, who have been supportive of Boulder Crest since 2013. So that's 9 years. And we're just so grateful that you are here, so grateful that you are supporting. And just before I leave, I want to give that reminder that over 20 veterans take their own lives every single day. So you know how to make a donation. If every single person right now tuned in, watching this screen, scanned that QR code and made a $25 donation out of a nod of gratitude and appreciation to those service people, we will raise thousands more, and we will get over the $175,000 donation, which would be spectacular. That donation is going to be live. That site is going to be live for the remainder of the evening. So if you have been moved by this evening and you wish to share it with other friends, and just let them know that, you know, a donation will make a huge impact on the Boulder Crest Foundation, just fire that link over to them. They don't have to be tuned in right now. It really is spectacular. And I want to remind you that there is a dollar for dollar match happening right now. For the next 5 minutes, there is a dollar for dollar match. So if you've made a donation, great. Go for it again. Anyway, that is it from me here in Brooklyn, New York City. It has been an absolute honor to be your virtual fundraising host for the evening. I hope you all enjoyed the night, and God bless, and I hope to see you all very soon.